Thank you, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there. We've been talking a lot throughout the day about, the experiential side of retail. And I've heard people talk about the importance of social and curated, meaning more personalized, more intent-driven. The frictionless, I think, goes without saying. How do we get the clunkiness out of shopping? And we're going to talk a little bit about the part of retail that I'll call, a little bit more browsing and inspirational. It's really hard to browse when you're online. I don't care, what website you're on, and we won't, name the big ones, but, you so quickly go down this funny foxhole, call it the funnel, and now you get these recommendations or some things that just even have nothing to do with your search. You forget what it was you were searching in the first part. And we want to talk a little bit about how do we get sort of the dreaming back into retail? How do we get the thrill, the hunt, the browsing, and the dreaming to be more real? So I like to think of getting lost in shopping. What's your most memorable shopping experience? It's where, you just see things that are dazzling. Is it Selfridges? Is it maybe a Neiman Marcus has some great display that really gets you dreaming rather than just fulfilling and getting stuff into your house. And so today we're going to talk about that kind of inspiration and the different kinds of visual and voice activated tools that can help us get there. So I'd like to introduce our amazing panel here. Start with Amy at the end as head of retail strategy and marketing for Pinterest. And I've had the pleasure of working with Amy over the past couple of years, which has just been great. She's been there since 2015 with a number of different positions, but has previously had worked at Adobe and Walmart. So has really deep experience in the areas of retail. Next is Jon Stine, who leads the Open Voice Network and is a research affiliate with MIT Audio Labs. I know Jon previously from his many years at Cisco and Intel, so real sharp retail tech expert serving our industry. And then next to me is Dean DeBiase. Do I say your name right?
Close enough.
Okay. And Revieve, your company, is amazing technology that brings AI and AR together with skin consultation and makeup consultation. He's also a faculty member at Northwestern University in Illinois, and I've read some great compliments on your role with an accelerator program, helping to bring some executives with startups into the real space, and you're on a whole bunch of advisory boards, so really great background. We're going to start with Jon and talking about what is this Open Voice Network. And just as a start point, I was reading in one of the show dailies that last year the industry estimated, just under 50 million smart speakers were sold. That doesn't include phones. I mean, that's just the speakers themselves. And they're estimating something like 53 million to be sold just in the upcoming year. So with that, I would love for you to share. I know you have 3 slides. Just talk a little bit about the Open Voice Network, because it really is fascinating.
Be glad to, Gwen, and thank you. The Open Voice Network is an industry consortium now coming together dedicated to bringing the value of standards to the world of voice. We see voice, and you can see on this slide here, rapidly growing in availability and adoption. There was a Google speaker earlier today at the ARIA who spoke to, on a monthly basis, there are more than 500 million monthly active users of Google Voice, and that voice will be the medium, if you will, for 20 to 30 to up to 40% of all Google searches this year and next. So it's happening. But one of the things that is not happened yet is that unlike the internet, which has a domain name registry of URLs, there is no name registry for voice. How will someone find you? In a world where voice increasingly will be part of search, How will someone find you and know that they're finding the right brand? The lack of standards is a major issue here. The lack also of, and just thinking that voice is going to be an all, and a great thing for search, you got to keep this in mind. And Gwen, we can go to the second slide here, is that voice enables you to communicate at least 3 times faster than when you type, okay? So there's 3x efficiency gain with voice than typing. I mean, we're born to speak. We're not born to type or tap or swipe. But on the receiving end, we can read twice as fast as we can listen. And so, as we think about voice in retail, the use of voice with visuals, multimodal voice, as some are talking about, becomes increasingly important. That's why you're beginning to see devices from Amazon and Google and others. It's also another realm of voice and voice standards. And third, as we think about voice and voice standards, there was an analyst today who predicted that 25% of all enterprise Fortune 500 companies will have their own voice assistant in 2 years. 25% of all Fortune 500 have their own voice assistant. Let that sink in. We are in a multi-platform world saying, hey, Google or Alexa will not suffice. And indeed, the question of platform interoperability becomes paramount. So all that, Gwen, forgive me, that's the Open Voice Network. That's what we're doing.
Okay. And Dean, you want to talk about Revieve?
Sure. I thought Amy was going next. So just do a little setup, and I'm going to show you a quick example of how the product works. So Revieve is a beauty care company, but essentially what we do is we help consumers by doing something very simple. They take a selfie of their face, and it automatically, the AI goes in the background and recommends different products and services and treatments to you. We're not a direct-to-consumer company. We actually bundle with all the major retailers and beauty brands and e-commerce providers, as well as digital companies that have large audiences. So the key to us about search is it's become personalized. And beauty is a great spot to start that in, because if you think about it, both men and women, mostly women in the room, know beauty is one of the most personalized searches you can do. There's a few others on the show floor that are more personal, but it's extremely personal. And what we view as important here is you can do something as simple as taking your phone out, taking a picture, automatically recommending, curating products that are trusted before you end up in the shopping cart. So with that, I'll just take you through a quick version of, this is an execution being implemented by a retailer soon, if the video works. So she is, essentially, this will be both in-store and online. So the first thing she'll do is kind of fill out a quick questionnaire about what type of skin type she thinks she has in this case. And that's something she can also get into some of the personal concerns that they have. She can pick many of those if she wants. The next one is kind of boring, both gender and age. It's important to go into the algorithm and the analysis. And then it gets down to, let's take a selfie. So a couple recommendations about how to do it. Snap a shot, and she's ready to go. So automatically now in the background, there's thousands of permutations going around, but they're going to come back with about 80 different elements analyzed, and then she, in this particular UI version, there's many of them, she can scan through each one of the concerns that come up, and it tells her what's going on. She can drill down and get more information on it. And this one, it's a little longer demo because it's showing you how it zooms into each part of the selfie and goes into different types of concerns that she might have or that the algorithm found for her. And the whole point of this is to then dig down into what are the types of products and services out of the hundreds that might be in the store, let's say a Walgreens, what are the 20 that are really important for you? And then also, hey, I want to pick some preferences. I want to say how much I want to spend, because some of them are really expensive. And I also want to put, I like organic or ones that don't have certain chemicals in it. So there's always that option too. So at that point, it's filtering. And then the last thing that's going to happen in this demo is it's going to get into the shopping cart. So it is designed to get into funnel metrics if that is what the retailer wants or the online version wants. It's important to point out here that You don't have to answer any of these questions. In certain retailers, in certain countries, since we're global, they'll go in, you'll take a picture in store, the beauty technician will just use your phone, take a picture, and then without an app, it'll automatically give all that data and information. So that is one thing that we've realized in terms of friction and frictionless, as she mentioned. We want to make it as simple, as easy as possible, but other certain brands, they want a lot of data, so we allow them to grasp that as well. So that's a quick overview.
It's pretty brutally honest sometimes.
Yep.
I did it yesterday, and I was like, oh my God.
It's fun when we take our glasses off. The whole world changes. I know.
That dryness score, I couldn't handle it. Maybe I'll just attribute it to the weather here in Vegas. Amy, do you want to? I'll hand you the clickers because you know what
Clicker.
Timing of your slides and some of the
Thanks,
Pinterest
Gwen.
examples.
Perfect. Okay, so Pinterest, how many of you have used Pinterest for saving inspirational ideas? Nice, okay. We have obviously a variety of ways that consumers use Pinterest to create inspiration. Our mission is to help people find inspiration to create a life they love. But as it relates to retail and shopping, there are a lot of different features and functionality, different formats that we've been building in the last 18 months to help consumers go from being inspired by something that maybe they see in real life or they see in a pin that is maybe more lifestyle oriented. They don't have the words to use to describe what kind of style that is. Is that Scandinavian or is that mid-century modern? And so being able to take that image there and look at each of the objects within it. And we're using technology around computer vision and some of the machine learning that we apply against the data so that we can create then a set of products that you can drill into below from a variety of retailers. And actually, sorry, I went too fast. So if it's that lamp that you want and you think the look is interesting, that taste or style, you can find other lamps that are similar from retailers who share with Pinterest their product catalog. And so that's some of the ways to go from inspiration to being able to act on that inspiration and make that purchase. And all of you, I'm sure, as I see mobile devices out, have your phones on you and want to be able to be inspired, but then want the way to actually go and implement that thing that you've fallen in love with. And so the whole roadmap has been involved in creating experiences that help you go find that thing that you love. And sometimes you pivot to the action part, and other times you want to go back into the inspiration. And that's sort of the fun and magic of being on the platform. I wanted to show also another example where this video shows how you in real life can go through. Oops, let me make sure it works.
That click.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, thank you for the assistance.
Pretty good. It's hard to do.
Or is it just me, I guess? All right.
There you go. Oh,
Wow.
there's someone driving the laptop where we can push the button.
Imagine, if you will, a mobile device that has a camera, and you open up the Pinterest app, and inside the Pinterest app is a little camera, and that opens up your camera in your real life, and you see someone with a cool pair of shoes on, and you want to see if you can find something similar. Or you're at a restaurant, someone's home, you see some cool chandelier, you see some cool pillow. When you open up and take that picture, Pinterest brings back all the things you may not have known to search for in text or even in voice, but visually you can find those things that we have on our platform. And so try it out when you get a chance. It's pretty easy. You just open the app and then the icon with the camera.
Do it. It's going to happen.
Here it is. So this is an example of someone who's taking a picture of that plant, and then Pinterest brings back a variety of different images or those pillows that are visually similar to those. And in some cases, you know the word pillows, obviously, but you don't know that style or aesthetic. And so giving you the tools to actually search visually, which is a much more natural use case, I would say, as it relates to shopping. So thanks, Gwen.
Yeah, and I think, building on that, it's all about context, isn't it? Whether it's voice or visual, it's like getting something, there's a look that you're striving for, and then you can build on that visual vocabulary, if you will, to create an aesthetic in your home. And that's kind of the inspiration that you would find in some of the best, let's say department store retailers known for, imaginative displays. It's all about triggering the ideas, and again, getting kind of like, okay, now I'm into this world that I can explore and continue to search. So, John, going back to something you were talking about, the multimodal, but also this idea of like how many of these personal shopping assistants might we see in the future, and sort of the voice and the tone of those assistants. I mean, we get to the point where you think about the brand has a voice. What is the brand voice? What does your brand sound like? What kind of words does your brand use? Is it consistent? I was in a Target the other day, and they were playing music from the TV commercial. They had a really fun, zippy holiday commercial, and it was still holiday. And I'm hearing this song from the commercial, which kind of connected the campaign with me in the physical store. And I don't remember that happening before in a Target. But if you're thinking about what your brand sounds like, are we getting to this place where an Echo will deliver multiple brand shopping assistants? Will Amazon have that? Where's this voice coming from?
I think
they're so tied to these devices right now.
I think we're going to be decoupling the devices from the reality of retail. And that's something that the retail industry must achieve, is moving from being locked in the proprietary walled gardens, to use that old cliche phrase, and making retail, voice through retail, much more open. To Gwen's point, brands are going to need to, and are just starting to think about this. What is your personality? Who are you? Because as we hear, a voice, we begin to picture a being, a person. It's no surprise that Alexa has received marriage proposals. To some classification of humans, she is the perfect spouse. And your brand will be perceived as a person with all kinds of personality quirks and traits. What do you want that to be? So a lot of things in this very new, nascent, got to be figured out world of voice. But again, to the point we made earlier, they're doing it. They're out there searching. They're out there using voice. Will the retail industry be ready?
Got it. So Dean, I was going to ask you about the connection of the technology, you're taking a selfie essentially,
Yep.
And you got the AI that's going to connect all these different sort of skin types and products that are recommended for that individual. Is there something magic about having a physical mirror in the store display, or in the store that is a framed piece? So it's like, I've arrived at this technology. You mentioned that you could also do it from your phone, or the sales assistant could take the picture of the customer.
Right.
So have you explored the physicality of this in the store, and maybe it makes it a sense of place versus having it be completely portable?
We have. At Revieve, we've done a lot of research on this, about 4 years worth, and the last company I was chairman of was a ethnography user experience design company. We sold to Salesforce. So I come from the school that says every consumer is differently. Some of you don't want voice, some of you don't want to type forever. It's all situational. So now that's a consumer view. And there's a trend to bring your own device. Like, screw it, I already have my own phone, get out of my way, I can handle this attitude. But now you look at the retailers, and they are experiencing a hardware hangover. They've spent billions of dollars on all types of hardware solutions in store over the last decade, actually longer, but smart devices. And a lot of them are ripping those out, whether it's a smart mirror technology in the beauty department or some kind of a kiosk that just always has a service tech taking care of it. So that's why we went with selfie, because the trends were there, the camera technology was there, the AI came into place. We also have a big AR module, which I didn't show you, which women love, which is how you try on makeup, try all different types of products before you buy, kind of like the car one you saw earlier, your car in the driveway. It's like makeup on how it changes your face, and even men are using that, which is interesting. So the punchline from me is, it's like when you're in store, we still power the devices, whether it's a mirror or whether it's the selfie phone. Most of the American retailers have realized we're going with the consumer phone because every one of them is bringing one into the store. Then switch to other countries, because we're global, is like in certain countries, in certain cultures, they want that device, and it's an expensive device, and they want that experience. But if you're in a CVS, you want to get in and out, do our analysis, and pick 5 products and get out of there. So you're seeing a lot of hardware trauma, I think, still in the retail side. But to us, it's about what does the consumer want? They need a trusted brand, something they can use in their pocket. And the last thing I'll say is they feel a little bit better taking a picture on their phone, because they know where it is, versus a device that is like roaming around a store. I mean, you guys have all been photographed by hundreds of devices in CES. You just don't know about it. And if you knew about it, you might be a little more uncomfortable. You almost need like one of those screen blockers for your laptop. You need it on your face when you walk around here. Sorry.
Let's talk a little bit about like dynamic imagery. Amy, you had shown us some visuals that were moving, and they always seem to be more engaging when there's a bit of motion in that image. Are you building on this at Pinterest and then layering that into maybe some of the other type of e-commerce sites with the clients that you work with?
From a video perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Pinterest enables video both organically and for paid. Depending on your interest, if your goals being more around branding or your goals are more around driving sales or new customers. The mindset of the pinner is a little bit unique in that they're on the platform planning for their future. They're decision makers that have an intent. They're there to get inspiration on something they haven't yet made a decision on yet. So I think, video and motion, sight and sound, it's a great way to help someone who's considering something really experience it emotionally, and that emotional experience then creates a little more connection to your brand. And if you continue to help the consumer by putting the right types of formats in front of them after that video, so for people who watched it, who completed a view, you can follow up with showing them other useful ways to use your product. So then you continue taking them across that journey ultimately to the final purchase.
Jon, you were talking about mostly ordering through, a personal device, the shopping assistant. What about voice in the store, either listening in on maybe a consultative conversation? Think about like a pharmacist, where the store can get, you can see it both ways, where you can help a consumer potentially who can talk into something if it's private enough, or even from a training perspective, learning about how the interaction is going in particularly in like, health and wellness areas that can be, again, highly sensitive and personal.
There's a number of startups, Gwen, to your very good question, that are exploring that voice analysis, voice recording as a training, and to help associates learn what's the best way to do, what works with customers. Here are the best methods, and you can gain that over time by listening in. Now, that also demands, of course, very careful use of the data and respecting the privacy of the shoppers, and also the consent, and be very open. We are recording this for the benefit of overall service and the benefit of our customers.
It's just like we get on a phone call, they'll say this is being recorded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, there's some very interesting exploration right now, Gwen, to your very good question, of using voice to listen and to improve the store experience.
I mean, these speakers are getting so inexpensive. I mean, just like all of this technology is getting so inexpensive that now there's no real barrier in terms of a cost. It's just what's really the effective experience and training tool. We have a few minutes left. I'd just love to give each of you a chance to make one final comment.
Mine would be, since we're on retail, is we are all enamored with technology. So let's just take 2 that we've surfaced here today, AI, AR, maybe video. It's like, as you create stuff for consumers, and retailers are learning this, it's not about the technology. The best technology is invisible. It's just working to make our lives easier. Right now, we are all still slaves to these devices. There's no reason to have 50 apps on this stupid phone right now. Eventually, these devices will start doing things more for us. So my only advice is, when you get someone in a store or online, don't make it harder for them with technology. If it's not making their journey easier or more emotional, as Amy said, to spark something, even if it's not a shopping cart, then consider it potentially something you might want to delay until it is more elegant and invisible.
Right. 2 things. One is that the value proposition, and I've been in retail now some 38 years, The value proposition is primarily about ease and convenience. Those who save time, who create efficiencies, are going to win. Voice plays a role in that. Second, at the core of personalization, at the core of a relationship between a brand and a shopper, is trust. Trust that data will be used properly. Trust that data will be protected. Trust that you won't be creepy. And so the issue of trust within the relationship of brand and shopper, critical, and something I think the industry needs to improve upon.
Thank you. Amy?
I like the convenience or the ease in helping the consumer, and I think once you perfect that and you have optimized and continued to refine so it's frictionless, don't forget about the magic of discovery and making sure your service or your product gets in front of someone before they've made their mind up, and give them a reason to consider your brand. And visual is a really nice way to do that, and so finding ways to get, whether it's your products in a lay-down shot or more inspirational lifestyle images or both, getting them out there in front of people who haven't yet made a decision.
Great, thank you. So let's keep shopping fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you.